I never imagined a single sentence from my own son could feel like a knife slipping between my ribs. My name is Richard Lawson. I'm 64 years old, and I thought I understood what loneliness felt like after losing my wife, after working my way into retirement, after watching most of my old friends move away or pass on. But nothing prepared me for the quiet that followed my son's voice on the phone that afternoon. It was 3 days before Christmas. I'd spent the morning polishing the old silver watch my father left me, tying a neat ribbon around its box, imagining the look on my son Ethan's face when I handed it to him. A tradition, a memory passed down, a piece of family history. But when Ethan called, his tone wasn't warm. It wasn't excited. It wasn't anything I expected. "Dad, I wasn't expecting you this year." 8 words. That was all it took. My fingers tightened around the ribbon I was tying. The room went still, as if the house itself was holding its breath. "What do you mean?" I asked slowly. "I come every Christmas." "Yeah, but this year is different." Different. That word echoed like a cold blade scraping bone. I tried to keep my voice steady. "What's different?" There was noise behind him, laughter, clinking plates, Emily saying something about timing the potatoes. They were already in holiday mode, already warm, already full, already together. Without me. "Mom's hosting Christmas Eve," he said, "and her parents are staying with us for a few days. It's kinda packed. As if I were luggage too heavy to fit." My chest tightened. "Ethan," I said quietly, "I always spend Christmas with you." "I know," he replied, softer, "and I'm sorry. But this year is just complicated. Complicated." Another knife, twisted deeper. "So, you don't want me to come?" I asked. "I'm not saying don't come," he said quickly. "I'm saying you don't need to come." Need. As if love depended on utility. I didn't speak for several seconds. 64 years of life had taught me to control my temper, but not my heartbreak. "I understand," I said finally. "Have a wonderful holiday." "Dad, wait." But I ended the call. For a while, I sat at the edge of my couch, staring at the Christmas lights blinking on the tree. Each blink felt like a reminder. You're alone. You're not wanted. You're an afterthought. When my wife, Margaret, passed, Ethan became the reason I stayed afloat. He helped me grieve, helped me cook, visited often. But as years passed, his visits shortened. His calls became less frequent. His life grew fuller. Mine grew quieter. And then 2 years ago, he lost his job. The mortgage fell behind. Emily was pregnant, they were drowning, so I stepped in. Not with conditions, not with expectations. Just love. I co-signed his refinance, took on the monthly payments myself, and told him he'd pay me back when life was kinder. $1,486 every month. Never late. Never questioned. Because I'm his father. Because that's what we do. But that afternoon, sitting in my silent living room, something shifted inside me, a realization that I'd been pouring from a well that was running dry. Maybe I had taught him that my presence didn't matter. Only my help did. The next morning, after a night of little sleep and too much thinking, I drove to the bank. The clerk smiled when she saw me. "Here for your usual mortgage transfer, Mr. Brennan." I hesitated. "No," I said quietly. "I'd like to stop the automatic payments." Her eyebrows rose. "Stop them?" "Yes." "Is everything all right?" I forced a small smile. "It will be." She processed the change. I watched the confirmation print from the machine, the sound crisp, decisive, final. When I got home, the watch I'd wrapped sat on the counter, the ribbon now crooked from the moment Ethan's words shook my hands. I unwrapped it carefully, placed it back inside its wooden box, and closed the lid. No gift was needed this year. Not for a man who didn't expect me. That evening, as snow began to fall, the phone rang again. Ethan. I didn't answer. My heart wasn't steady enough yet. Then came the text. Dad, can we talk? It's important. I sat down, rubbing the bridge of my nose. Christmas, I realized, had turned into something I didn't recognize, no longer warmth and laughter, but pressure and exclusion. Later that night, as I watched snowfall blanket the street outside, I whispered to myself, I can't keep giving more than I'm worth. For the first time in years, I chose myself. A quiet rebellion, a necessary one. I didn't know what Ethan would say when he found out. But I knew this. Something in our relationship had cracked. And in Act 2, that crack was about to split wide open. The morning after I canceled the mortgage payment, the house felt heavier. Quiet in a way that presses on your chest, reminding you of every empty seat at the table. Coffee warmed my hands, but not my heart. My phone buzzed again. Ethan, Dad, we need to talk. Bank called. Something's wrong. I didn't reply. Not out of spite. Out of exhaustion. For 64 years, I'd held my tongue, held my breath, held my family together. But holding always comes at a cost. Just after noon, a fist hammered against my door fast. Frantic, almost panicked. When I opened it, Ethan stood there, snow dusting his hair, face flushed from running or fear or both. Dad, what happened? The bank said the mortgage didn't go through. I stepped aside, letting the cold air and my son drift into my living room. It didn't go through, I said calmly, because I ended it. He blinked hard, stunned. You ended it? He whispered it like a man trying to understand how the floor vanished under his feet. Yes, I said. Why? His voice cracked. I don't get it. I met his eyes. Steady. Because you told me you weren't expecting me for Christmas. He stared at me, silent, breath unsteady. Dad, that's not the same thing. It is, I replied softly. Because Christmas wasn't the problem. The problem was that you didn't expect me, didn't consider me, didn't think I mattered enough to be included. He ran a hand through his hair, pacing like the walls were closing in. I didn't mean it like that, he muttered. Emily was stressed. The house is full. Son, I cut in gently. I know excuses. I've used them my entire life. That one doesn't change the truth. He froze mid-step. What truth? That you stopped seeing me as family, I said, and only as support. He blinked hard. Dad, no, that's not fair. I paid your mortgage for 2 years, I said quietly. Every month. Without asking anything in return. I didn't expect gifts. I didn't expect praise. I paused, voice softening. But I did expect a seat at your table. He sat down slowly, collapsing into the couch as though his legs refused to hold the weight of the moment. I thought you were okay, he whispered. You always act so strong, so independent. I didn't think you'd want to be alone. I finished. No one wants that, Ethan. Not even old men like me. His eyes glistened. I didn't think it mattered this much. It mattered more than you know. He dropped his head into his hands. Emily said it'd be awkward, he confessed. She said her parents might feel bad if they saw you sitting alone. My chest tightened, the words clenching around my ribs like a fist. And what did you say? I asked quietly. He exhaled shakily. I said, she was right. There it was, the real wound. Not Christmas. Not the mortgage. The moment he agreed, I didn't belong. We sat in silence. Snow tapped against the window pane like a reminder of all the years I'd spent carrying this family through storms they never saw. Dad, he said finally, voice cracking. I messed up. I know that, But canceling the mortgage, that's huge. Emily. She's furious. He pulled out his phone, thumb trembling. She texted you this, he said, handing me the screen. The message glowed sharp and cold. Since you canceled the payment, you're not welcome here anymore. I didn't flinch. Pain had become familiar enough to sit beside me without needing a reaction. But Ethan went pale. She didn't mean that, he said quickly. She gets emotional. She says things, Ethan. I said gently. She meant it. And you let her treat me this way long before today. He swallowed hard. I'm sorry, he whispered. I know, I replied. But apologies don't fix patterns. Another silence. He stared at his hands, as if finally seeing the truth written in the lines of his palms. I don't want to lose you, he said quietly. You won't lose me, I told him. But you're going to have to earn your place back in my life the way I earned mine and yours. He looked up sharply. How? By being a son, I said simply. Not because I pay your bills. Not because I give you gifts. But because you want me in your life. He wiped his face. I do want you, he said. I just got caught up, work. Emily. The baby. You can be busy, I interrupted. But you can't be blind. He swallowed. What happens now? He whispered. You'll take over the mortgage yourself, I said. You'll stand on your own feet again. He nodded slowly, accepting it like a man accepting a sentence he knew he deserved. And us? He asked softly. What about us? I took a long breath. That depends on how you act now. He sat a little straighter. I want to fix this, he said. I'll talk to Emily. I'll make space for you. Before he could finish, his phone buzzed. He read the message, face twisting. It's Emily, he muttered. She said if you come near the house, she'll call the police. I felt the blow quiet, deep, controlled. Ethan looked at me helplessly. I don't know what to do, he whispered. And for the first time since he walked through my door, I saw a glimpse of the boy he used to be lost, needing direction. You choose, I said softly. Your father or your wife's fear of me. He shook his head desperately. You're putting me in an impossible position. No, I replied gently. I'm giving you the chance to be a man. He stood slowly, tears he didn't try to hide running down his face. I need time, he said. You have it. He walked to the door, hand trembling on the knob. Before he left, he looked back. I love you, Dad, he whispered. I nodded. I love you too, son. The door clicked shut. I sat alone in the quiet house, the snow falling outside like ash. The mortgage was canceled. The truth was exposed. Christmas was days away. And somewhere between love and betrayal, the next move belonged to Ethan. I didn't see Ethan for 2 days after he left my house. Christmas was closing in like a storm cloud, slow, heavy, impossible to ignore. Every ornament on my tree felt like a reminder of every Christmas we'd shared, and every moment now slipping through my fingers. On the evening of December 23rd, just as I was settling into the quiet, my doorbell rang. Not a knock, not a soft call. A firm, desperate ring, the kind someone uses when their world is falling apart. I opened the door. Ethan stood there, eyes red, cheeks flushed, breath uneven, as though he'd either been crying or running or both. Dad, he said, voice trembling. I left. My heart stopped. Left? I repeated. What do you mean? He stepped inside, shoulders sagging. I couldn't stay in that house, he said. Not after what she said to you. Not after what she said to me. Fear twisted in my gut. What did she say? He swallowed hard. She said if I didn't cut you off completely, she'd take the kids and move to her parents' house. She said you were manipulating me, that you were guilting us for attention. My stomach dropped. And you believe that? I asked softly. He shook his head immediately. No, not anymore. I finally saw what you've been feeling, what I've been allowing. He paced the room, running both hands through his hair. I should have stood up to her, Dad. Years ago. I should have told her no one gets to dictate my relationship with my father. He looked at me, eyes full of something raw regret, love, fear. I'm so sorry, he whispered. I didn't see how much you were hurting, and I didn't realize how much control I'd handed to someone else. I stepped closer, placing a hand on his shoulder. Ethan, I said quietly, marriage is about partnership, but partnership doesn't mean abandoning your roots. It means balancing your lives, not replacing one with the other. He nodded, eyes filling again. I know that now. I just didn't know how to fix it. Before I could respond, a loud banging shook the door hard, angry, unmistakable. Ethan froze. Oh no, he whispered. I opened the door halfway. Emily stood there, snow on her boots, rage in her eyes, jaw clenched like she was holding back a scream. Ethan, she snapped, get your things. We are leaving. He didn't move. She glared past him at me. You did this, she hissed. You poisoned him against his own family. I kept my voice calm. I am his family. No, she snapped. I am his family now, not you. Ethan stepped between us. Emily, stop, he said firmly. You don't get to speak to my father that way. Not anymore. She blinked, stunned that he finally pushed back. What did he tell you? She demanded. That I'm the bad guy? That he's some lonely victim you need to rescue? No, Ethan said quietly. He didn't tell me anything. You did. Every time you pushed him away. Every time you made him feel like an inconvenience. She looked at him like she didn't recognize the man standing there. You're choosing him over me? I'm choosing what's right, he said steadily. I'm choosing respect. And if you can't handle that, then maybe we need space. She took a step back, breath shaking. You'll regret this, she whispered. Maybe, he said, but I won't regret standing up for my father. She turned and stormed off, her boots crunching through the snow until the sound vanished. Ethan closed the door softly, leaning his forehead against it. I don't know how this ends, Dad, he whispered. I put a hand on his back. Neither do I said. But for the first time in years, we're starting honest. And for a moment, just one quiet, fragile moment, we stood there as father and son, instead of obligation and burden. And that alone felt like a beginning. Christmas morning came quietly, no loud laughter, no wrapping paper tearing, no grandchildren racing through the hallway, just a soft winter silence outside my window, the kind that feels like the world pausing to breathe. For the first time in years, I woke up alone on Christmas. But I didn't feel abandoned. Not after the night Ethan stood at my door and defended me. Not after he chose honesty over comfort, family over fear. I walked into the kitchen, poured myself a cup of coffee, and sat by the window as the morning light turned everything gold. The kind of gold that feels like hope. Ethan was asleep in the guest room, curled up under an old quilt Margaret stitched decades ago. Seeing him there safe, home, with me was the first gift I'd received in a long time. Around mid-morning, he joined me at the table, his eyes tired but clearer than I'd seen in years. Dad, he said softly. I called Emily's parents. My heart tightened. And they said she's overwhelmed, hurt, confused. He paused. They also said she told them you were controlling me. I let out a slow sigh. That's not true, I said. He nodded. I know, and I told them that. I told them you've done nothing but help us. I told them I failed you more than you ever failed me. He rubbed his hands together, staring at the table's grain. I think Emily needs time. And maybe so do I. I nodded gently. Marriage takes work, I said. But it should never cost you your father. He smiled a tired, small smile. No, it shouldn't. We spent the day together, quietly, simply. We cooked a small dinner roast chicken and potatoes. Nothing extravagant. We watched an old Christmas movie we used to watch when he was young. For a few hours, time felt softer, kinder. In the evening, just as the sun melted into the horizon, Ethan stood at the door with his packed bag. I'm going home, he said. But not for Emily, for the kids. They need their dad, and I need to talk to her honestly. I placed a hand on his shoulder. You do what you think is right, not what's easy. He nodded. Before walking out, he turned to me, his voice steady, eyes firm. Dad, I'm taking over the mortgage. I'll figure it out. I have to. You've carried me long enough. My throat tightened. Not because of the money, because of the growth. I'm proud of you, I whispered. He hugged me tightly, the kind of hug that says everything words can't. I'll be over tomorrow, he said, stepping outside. Christmas isn't over yet. When he drove away, I stood by the window, watching the taillights glow like two small promises disappearing into the night. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like a burden, or an obligation, or a placeholder. I felt like a father again. And as snowflakes drifted under the street lamps, soft and slow, I whispered to myself, sometimes you don't lose your family. Sometimes they find their way back.